What's up, Tiger fans? Tonight, we have a great show for you.
That's right. Tonight, we'll give out our Clemson helmet stickers and give you the 5 things we learned from week 4.
Also, we'll run through our Week 5 picks against the spread and give you our preview and prediction of this weekend's big matchup between the North Carolina Tar Heels and your Clemson Tigers. Let's load the buses, Tiger fans. We are live.
The Morgan Thomas Show, brought to you by Black's Tire Inc.
Here we go, another Wednesday night. You are watching the Morgan Thomas Show with Morgan Thomas, your host and producer, and my good friend, Alan Adams, Big Al. Welcome to the show, Al.
And it's good to be here as always. Another week, another win for the Tigers, so let's just keep this train rolling.
Yeah, we're excited you're back with us this week. And as always, we're live in Greenville, South Carolina. Wherever you may be watching, you can watch us on Facebook, YouTube, and on The Roar. We welcome you. We want to let you know that tonight's show is brought to you by Black's Tire Inc., family owned and operated since 1971. If you need new tires, brakes, alignment, tire repair, or just looking for a friendly professional to help answer your questions, check out Black's Tire Inc., located 1415 East Main Street, Westminster, South Carolina. Give them a call, 864-647-9292. We used them. I've used them for tire repair, a little nail in the tire, something simple. But I've also used them for brake, getting new brakes as well. So we appreciate you showing the support there. Just go past the stadium, head on over to Seneca, a little bit past the Seneca Walmart, and you'll see them over there on the right. So go check them out. We wouldn't recommend a place that we haven't used ourselves. Al, another week, another exciting week, and I'm glad to be back, man. It's good to have you here on the show. If you're watching over on Facebook or YouTube, welcome to the show. Right now, YouTube starts out slow. Right now, it looks like we got about 6 over on YouTube. Where are you at, YouTube? Normally, we're at 30 or 40 by now, but we just got 7 over on YouTube. What you got over there on Facebook, Al?
You'll slowly climb the ladder over there on YouTube, but on Facebook, we start out strong. We're rocking with 20 right now, so hopefully that number only goes up.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, if you don't know, it could really help us if you would like and share the video. So make sure you hit the like button and make sure you share it with your friends so they can check it out, or share it in one of your Clemson Tiger groups so new people can check out the show. As always, we go every week. We talk about all things Clemson Tiger football, basketball when the season is round, and baseball as well. This week we're going to look back at week 4. Man, it's already week 5, Al. I think Quack was saying that it's already 1/3 away or through the season. I can't believe it's already 1/3 of the season away or done. I'm ready for more. I just want more. I want it to be a full year of college football. But it goes by fast. Clemson is 4-0 right now. They're getting ready to go in and play the Tar Heels this weekend in an away game, and we'll talk about that at the end of the show. We're going to give you our picks against the spread. Al, I don't know if you noticed, but Big Al is 70% picks against the spread through 4 weeks. That's amazing. So good job there, Al. And then we're gonna give you our helmet stickers from the Charlotte game and talk about a few things from week 4. So we're excited. Al.
Yeah, man.
Have you seen, I want to start us off with this. It's a very interesting subject because it kind of goes back to the transfer portal. But have you seen the big news coming out of Houston recently, or really Monday? I'm not talking about the Texans winning against the Chargers. That was on Sunday. And Deshaun Watson basically has to play a perfect game in order to be successful again with the Texans and win a game. It's crazy just how much he has to do to win a game for them.
Yep.
But I'm talking about the University of Houston senior quarterback De'Aaron King and senior wide receiver Keith Corbin met with reporters yesterday to talk about their unusual decision to sit out and redshirt following a 1-3 start. Now, these are not guys that lost their starting position, all right? These are not guys that are not getting a ton of playing time. but they're seniors. They haven't redshirted, and they're deciding as seniors to now redshirt after a 1-3 start with a new coach, Dana Holgorsen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they've had 3 coaches in the past 4 years. But it's very interesting because we've seen those scenarios like Kelly Bryant where you play 4 games and then you leave and you go to another team. But these guys are saying they wanted to play 4 games and then redshirt because they never have redshirted, just so that they can play next year with a little bit of a more experienced team. What are your thoughts about that as you read that?
Yeah, well, it's pretty crazy. When we talked about the transfer portal, we've talked about that several times actually, over the past several months, and it's opening up this ridiculous can of worms that I don't know that we're ever going to be able to put back in the can. I don't like it. I hate every bit of it. And of course, this situation in particular is kind of really strange. But I'm guessing the only thing that I can kind of, my rationale here is that they think they're going to come back with a more experienced team, a better team, and that will better showcase their skills, at Houston to be able to kind of get them to the next step and into the league. But this is not something I think that was kind of the rule. It's more the exception. But this is kind of the thing you open up when you have a situation, you have kind of an outlet like the transfer portal. So I think we're going to see more and more of this, unfortunately, things like this and crazy things that people were never expecting. But yeah, I am not a fan at all.
I mean, like I said, these guys are guys that we're going to play a lot. We're playing a lot. We're starters. The wide receiver was the second leading receiver on the team. The quarterback was the starting quarterback. And it's very unusual in this case. Like I said, it's not like Kelly Bryant where he has lost his job and going to go play somewhere else. Now, guys like Trey Wingo and Paul Feinbaum are saying these guys are definitely not staying with Houston. But the players are saying that they're going to stay. Now, the dad of the quarterback is saying that he's going to leave options open and evaluate all the opportunities out there after the season's over with. We know what that means. Yeah. I'm going to transfer. Right. But the players are saying, no, we're going to stay. And I can see it from a coaching point of view. And from a player point of view, you've had 3 different coaches in 4 years. You didn't get the red shirt. When they decided not to redshirt you, that was under Tom Herman. They went to Major Applewhite. He got fired, and so they could bring in Dana Holgorsen. And so you still are sitting out there without a red shirt. If they do use the red shirt, then they can easily use that and then go play next year and hopefully have their second year under Dana Holgorsen's system and maybe be more successful. Yeah. So I feel like a lot of people are like, man, this is so unusual. Really, it's not any different than Kelly Bryant's situation. The only difference is that they are at least saying right now that they're going to not transfer out and stay with the team. So we'll have to stay with that topic or stay with that subject and look at that at the end of the season and see what they end up actually deciding to do. These guys are seniors, so it's not that they're going to have to wait or anything. Just like Shaq Smith and Kelly Bryant, once they graduate from the university, then they really open the door for pretty much any university. They say that rule where they have to get a different degree or something. That to me is just completely bogus. What player has been denied of transferring to a university because of not being eligible because of it's a duplicate degree? I mean, they'll find a degree for them.
Yeah. Yeah, they used to do that. That used to happen a lot more back in the day. It was like, hey, you have to go somewhere who doesn't offer, the major you're looking for or something like that. Just kind of a crazy situation. Just anything to be able to get the transfer, anything to kind of, push the paperwork across and get it done. But yeah, it's just another notch in the belt, and I do not like the transfer portal or anything about it, and I think it's only going to get worse.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, if you're watching over on YouTube or Facebook, welcome to the show. Right now, Al, we got 14 over on YouTube. Welcome. Clemson, Carson, and Prince has jumped in over on the YouTube channel, so I appreciate you supporting us. Make sure you like our video and share our video with your friends over there on YouTube. Same thing for Facebook. You might have noticed a little bit different of a look on the screen right now. You see we're sponsored by Buffalo Wild Wings of Greenville, South Carolina. The number up top you see is our call-in number. The call-in number is now going to be open throughout the show. So that's 864-772-6674 or more. You can call into the morgue. About the only time you'll ever call into the morgue. But you can call into the morgue, and we have 2 open phone lines that you can get in. You'll have a little prompt there. Just give us your name and just wait. We'll try to get you in between different segments. So we're excited about that. If you want to get in on the show, you can. That number's up there. Just give us a call, and I'll see it pop up on the screen so I can get you when we have a break in the action. Al, who you got over there on Facebook? Right now we got 15 on YouTube.
Well, I'm somewhat disappointed with our Facebook crowd. We've gone down to 18. I was hoping we were going to be up to 40 by now. But, I saw my mom and dad have joined. Kevron Harris, as always, it's good to hear from him. Saw that we have, Thomas and Dana joining us, Trey, Tripp, Michaela, Mark, Dodie, Matthew, Adam, and Bill all watching with us. So we appreciate all the support from you guys for sure.
That's one thing I love about Facebook is it kind of pops up your name. Unless you get in the chat on YouTube, I can't see your name. So if you want to get in and get a shout out from us, get in on the chat, say hello, tell us where you're watching from, and we'll give you a shout out for sure. Al, let's head over to our segment number 1. And this is something that kind of reflecting back onto week 4, and that's our week 4 Clemson helmet sticker. So the way we're going to do this is you're going to give us 3 helmet stickers, and I'm going to give you my 3 helmet stickers that we feel like were outstanding play from the players on the Clemson sideline or on the Clemson side. And then we have a special $2 bill award. You know how when you go to a away game, you give away a $2 bill to the restaurant in the area or something like that, stamped with a tiger paw on it? Well, with our opposing teams, we're going to give the best player from our opposing team a $2 bill. I was going to have my $2 bill and show it, but it's like framed next to my national championship ticket. So I might have to get a hammer and bust it out. But just know that I have a $2 bill just looking at me right now. But anyway, so Al, who were your big Clemson helmet sticker winners or earners for the Charlotte game?
Well, I got to tell you, I wasn't super impressed with any one particular person in this game. There was a lot of playing time to go around. Obviously we broke the record, with 111 players played. So I didn't really single out anybody in particular as far as this guy's got to be on the list. But when I was really kind of breaking it down and looking at it, my first one went to Lynn J. Dixon, okay? We all know my affinity for Lynn J. Dixon and how good he is. But I think his leaping and flipping touchdown, by the way, deserves a helmet sticker on its own. All right, regardless of what his other stats were. That's one of my favorite plays at the goal line. I think it's almost impossible to stop if you execute it well. I mean, the linebacker has to time it perfectly. Defensive lines really got to get their hands up and stop you. It's a beautiful play, and he executed it very well. I just love to see it. You want to give how about you go and give yours, and then we'll kind of go back and forth.
All right, we'll go back and forth. I really love that play too. I was torn because, as me, I didn't go to the game. I was originally going to go to the game. Then I decided not to go to the game. I know you get on to me about this, but you guys can have faith in Alan that he does go to the games. I like to watch the games from my couch, the best seat in the house, and get analysis from other experts, other than Sean McDonough. I think I don't like listening to him. But anyways, Lynn J. Dixon touchdown was great, but I did have to fight with the Georgia-Notre Dame game. That was an exciting game to watch too. But for me, and we're going to give 3 stickers out. I wanted to give 3 stickers or a sticker to Dabo Swinney for playing 111 Clemson players. I mean, I didn't even know they had 111 players. I think I heard somewhere that they have 113. So there was like 2 players, I think because they were injured, they didn't get a chance to play or get a snap. One of them being Justin Ross, I believe. But 111 players got to play for Clemson. And that's just amazing. It just talks about how important Dabo Swinney values playing time over individual statistics. A lot of people joke about Dabo Swinney being like Oprah. You get a car, and you get a car, and you get a car, and you get a car. It's kind of like that. You get to play, and you get to play, and you get to play. I think it's great, especially in games where what's the point of blowing out teams with your first string, especially when you're up by so much, you're covered the spread, and there's really no need to even put any more points up on the board. A lot of people, it's kind of like, you get ragged on for scoring too many points, beating up the little guy, right? But then if you don't score enough, why didn't you score enough? Why couldn't you beat up the little guy better than that, right? So there's no winning right in that situation. But I think Dabo definitely wins in his philosophy. We're definitely not going to get, I'm not going to say definitely, but Clemson fans, I think, have come to the realization that the Heisman Trophy is not going to happen under Dabo Swinney unless there's just a miraculous situation where there's another Deshaun Watson who just goes crazy. But even still, if he goes crazy, he's going to get put on the bench and let somebody else play and get their experience in as well. But so I've got the 111. I got Dabo Sweeney giving a sticker for playing so many players.
Yeah, that's an excellent one. Of course, I mean, obviously, you got to kind of go outside the box there. I'm good with that. Second on my list, I gave Isaiah Simmons a helmet sticker, and honestly, really, just because I think if he's not on this list, that it should be invalid. He's always making plays. He's always around the ball. He's really the one that kind of strikes fear into the enemy there. I really hope that he can kind of make those plays, make a few, get out of the game, and kind of make way for Mike Jones and maybe somebody else to kind of get a little experience because we're going to need that position going into next year. That's going to be a huge void if he does indeed go for the NFL this year, which I'm sure he will, because he seems to be climbing up the draft boards every day. Every game he plays, he's there. His athleticism and his speed, the athlete or the scouts in the NFL are going to drool over that. So I'm hoping he can. I'm hoping he decides to be crazy and stick around, like Wilkins did. But you know what? I won't count on that for sure. But I did give him a helmet sticker for this week.
Well, he already could have left, I believe, right? And he decided to stay. He's an amazing player, just all over the field. I believe that he's going to be an amazing player in the NFL. He's just got a little bit of everything. He's tall, so he can play back. He can play safety and coverage. He can come in and play linebacker and get to the outside. He gets there quick and he puts you in the dirt quick. And so he's just an amazing player. We're so blessed to have Isaiah Simmons and watch him play and just kill it every single play. For me, it was one that a lot of people are talking about. We talked about in the offseason, but that's Michael Dukes. He's a freshman. Dabo Sweeney came out later on in his post-game press conference and saying, hey, if you're seeing these guys a lot right now, odds are they're not going to get redshirted. We definitely need them. They're talented enough to be on the field, and we're going to keep them on the field. Michael Dukes, I believe, falls in that category. He even mentioned Michael Dukes and Ches Malusi as those guys that would more than likely not get redshirted and be able to play because they need them for that depth. We were kind of bouncing back and forth whether or not Dukes would be redshirted or not. We felt like, Alan and I felt like in the preseason that Malusi wouldn't get redshirted because of depth alone. But now it looks like Dukes for sure is going to be there as well. So Dukes, that guy, he's really shifty. Man, that 24-yard touchdown run, his longest run of the night, the longest run for the team, was a really cool thing to watch. I'm glad to see another guy out there that's being successful, and I look forward to seeing what Michael Dukes has in store. We did a video on him over on our YouTube channel, a little recap and a preview of him, kind of looking at film from his high school days. And there's so many people going in and putting comments like, hey, I went to high school with the guy. He's just an outstanding guy, just a really great person and a great football player. I'm glad you guys have him on the team. So it's really exciting for Michael Dukes. So that's me. The third person for me, Al, I'm going to go ahead and jump real quick, is sure. Kayvon Wallace. He had a pick six for 66 yards for a touchdown. Kayvon has really been pretty consistent as well. You got to be really consistent when you bounce back and forth between Isaiah Simmons' positions, and they can spell each one of them and rotate there. So I'm giving a sticker. Michael Dukes, giving a sticker. Kayvon Wallace.
I'm good with that. I gave one to Landon Sanders, actually, and it's really because he's around the ball a couple of times, had a nice tackle in that game. I just continue to be impressed by how aggressively he plays. Like we talked about, I think we talked about this last week, actually. He kind of lacks the measurables a little bit. He's obviously on the shorter side, but he really likes to pack a punch when he hits you, and I love to see that. So, like I said, nobody really stood out to me in this game in particular, but the way he hits you, you take notice for sure. I think he can really grow out to be a really dependable player in the Brent Venables scheme back there, and he's really going to bring the pain, as you like to say.
Oh yeah, I watched some of video on Instagram where they were working out, and the dude is just jacked. He's kind of slim, lanky a little bit, but man, he's just got some giant chest, giant arms, and so I know he can really hit people. We've seen that. We've also done film review on him. We know he can hit people. If you're wondering who we're talking about, because we're talking about like true freshmen here. If you're wondering who we're talking about, just take a look at the guy. Looks like Troy Polamalu in orange. All right, that's who it was. He played a lot during Syracuse game, late in the game. He played a lot in the Charlotte game, so it's exciting to see him get some reps out there. I think he'll be definitely a very valuable player. I wasn't really thinking that I was thinking that those kind of guys were going to get redshirted more because there's a lot of depth at secondary. Do you think that he's going to get redshirted?
It really doesn't look like it. I really think, when you lose, Tanner Muse and you lose Kayvon Wallace next year, I mean, I think you got to get as many guys, reps as possible, kind of get them some experience because you don't want to go into next year, obviously kind of lacking that experience. So I think they're going to get in a lot of these games. I don't think he's going to head for a red shirt.
All right. And so to Alan, do you have your third one?
That was my third.
Okay. So so Landon Sanders was your third one. Sorry about that. So the next one, the last thing we're going to do is a $2 bill.
Yep.
And basically that is the opponent, the best player for the opposing side. We're going to give them a $2 bill with a Tiger Paw stamp on it. And I'm going to go with Benny LeMay, who is the running back. We knew going into the game he was probably going to be their best player, and he did really well. He didn't get in the end zone, didn't score a touchdown, but Dabo talked about how well he could run, and he definitely had, I think he had over 80 yards, and I was really impressed by him being able to find some open lanes and try to make something out of it. Obviously, he's way overmatched when it comes to playing against Clemson's defense, but I think overall he did really well. And I agree with Dabo. I was kind of like, this guy's going to be an NFL player. He seems like he has the talent to be an NFL player. He just got to get there. Yeah,
absolutely. Benny LeMay was obviously kind of the best player on their team, but for the sake of, being the same, I went with Aaron McAllister because he's the guy that got the muff punt from Will Sweeney, okay, that set up the Charlotte's only touchdown of the game. So little shout out to that guy right there, made a big play, got him in the end zone, had their fans all excited. You wouldn't know, obviously, because you weren't at the game, but those of us who were at the game heard the crowd cheering, the band was playing, they got real excited for that touchdown, and we was happy to see it.
I don't delete a lot of your comments on our podcast, but I will definitely delete that last bit there, Al. And what'd you think about Dabo Sweeney? Did you see it from the field? Did you see Dabo Sweeney getting on to his son there? I think he was a little reserved there. He didn't beat him up too bad, but he definitely gave him a talking to.
Yeah, no, I didn't see it. I actually, I went to the game with my boy Caleb from youth group, and we were watching the game. I said, man, he's about to get chewed out, and we were got to talking and didn't actually see Sweeney blow up at him, but I'm sure it was a good talking to.
All right, well, that wraps up our segment number 1. Let me go check over on our YouTube channel. Right now we have 30 people watching. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate the love and support you guys got us over on YouTube. Make sure you like the video and share the video with your friends. We're talking all things college Clemson football tonight. And I'm going to I'll look through the chat as you tell us about Facebook. Who we got over on Facebook?
Facebook is really bumming me out right now. We got 14, 13. We're kind of teetering on that range, like I said. So thank goodness for YouTube. You're killing it over there for sure. But I did see, let's see, Denise got in with us. Adam got in with us. Jason got in with us. So we're getting some new ones. Others are dropping off. We're at 15 right now. So we're doing all right over here.
So Daniel Seekins is saying that the only way that Clemson will get a Heisman candidate is if Brent Venables leaves and the defense starts giving up a ton of points. I've never thought of it that way, but I think that's an interesting way to think about it. Mike Chappell's asking, he lives in Pickens and needs some new tires. Check out Black's Tire Inc., 864-647-9292, 1415 East Main Street in Westminster, South Carolina. So if you don't know where that's at, all you got to do is find the Seneca Walmart. It's on the right-hand side. There's a Walmart. There's a Papa John's. There's a Zaxby's. And you just keep on going. And it's maybe 5-6 minutes down the road from there. You'll see them on the right, Black's Tire. Let them know that Morgan Thomas Show sent you. And Preston or Dale there will help you out for sure. Al.
Yeah, man.
That's segment number 1, man. I appreciate it. We don't have anybody getting in the calls. I know that this is kind of new for us, but if you check up at the top, 864-772-6674. It's just like the radio. We have a call-in line, just like the Roar does. All you have to do is give that number a call. There'll be a little prompt. You put your name in there, what you want to talk about, and it'll show up on our screen so we can take your call during the show. So if you want to get on the show, here's your chance. Don't say we didn't give you a chance. But that's it for our segment number 1. We've got to go on a short break. If you didn't know, we're going to be airing this show going forward the next couple of weeks on the Roar as a replay, kind of like a podcast that you'll hear on 105.5 The Roar. So we're excited about that. But we're going to take a quick break real quick. And when we come back, we're going to talk about the 5 things we learned from week 4. We'll see you on the other side. What's up, Tiger fans? We are back. Thank you for sticking with us on that short break. It's the Morgan Thomas Show with my co-host and good friend, Big Al, Alan Adams. If you want to jump in and get on the show with us, we have a phone number up on the top. Give us a call, and we'll catch your number, or we'll catch your call and talk about whatever you want to talk about tonight. We want to talk about our second segment show sponsor, and that is that we have an exclusive apparel provider, and that's the Tiger Sports Shop. So check out what Alan's wearing. Check out what I'm wearing. This is the Tiger Sports Shop exclusive gear. So check it out, Al. What you got there? You got kind of a button-up, orange and purple, right?
Yeah, I got an excellent. This is an awesome shirt. It's a Tiger. It's actually the Tiger Sports Shop's brand that they're kind of playing with right now, and they've got some awesome stuff. This hat, obviously, they sell this hat there as well. Most of the things, anything you see, on the show, that's going to be from the Tiger Sports Shop. They have the best gear. So definitely get down there, check them out. They have two locations, one on Tiger Boulevard, one on US 123. Both, same stuff at both for the most part. But if one doesn't have your size, go check out the other. Maybe you can find it there. But they're incredible. I've been shopping there for years, so it's pretty sweet to have them as an official sponsor.
Yeah, we want to give a special shout out to Julie and Sean over at the Tiger Sports Shop. We appreciate you believing in the show and sponsoring us and being our exclusive apparel provider. So going forward, the stuff you see on the show is the stuff you can buy at their store. And man, I've got this right here. It's kind of like a little, you can't really, my light's a little bright, so it looks a little gray, but it's basically a lavender with some stripes, and it's a polo, kind of like a golf polo, and it's real breathable. I don't know what you want to call it, like moisture wicking, I guess, but it's the Tiger Sports Shop exclusive collection. So go check it out there. Ask for it. Tell them that you heard about them on the Morgan Thomas Show. We would really appreciate that. But Al, let's jump into our topic number 2, and I got it up on the screen there. That's the 5 things that we learned from week 4. So this could be non-Clemson things or Clemson things, but we kind of tried to stick to college football in general. But what's your first thing, or we'll start from the bottom, right? 5 and go up. So what's your number 5 thing that you learned from week 4?
My number 5 thing is Old Dominion is a tough out. Okay. They seem to be playing these teams pretty tough. I always like to pick Old Dominion to cover the spread, and I'm absolutely kicking myself. I didn't pick them to cover this past week. I had it on there and I took them off, and of course they covered. But they seem to be a tough team that seems to jump up and bite people. Obviously, they covered against Virginia Tech maybe earlier this year. I think I can't even remember exactly who it was. I know they beat Virginia Tech outright a couple of years back. So they seem to be giving people fits for sure. But I like what I see from Old Dominion. They're a tough out. They play hard, and I like to see them week to week. So they're kind of my go-to when I'm looking for an upset.
I like that. I picked against the spread. I think against Old Dominion. Was it the Virginia Tech game or early on in the season? I think they played Virginia Tech, or they played somebody early on in the season, and I picked against them, and they almost won the game. Yeah. And so it kind of scared me. I was like, oh man, I forgot last year they actually did win the game or something like that. So I was like, oh man, I should have remembered that. I got to go. I'm starting to do that with the spread. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but if you go back with the spread and look at like kind of the historical record, you can kind of, I don't know. I'm just guessing. I don't know what I'm doing really. But my number 5 is that the 2 Florida teams with backup quarterbacks are actually doing better than they were with the quarterbacks they started with. And what I mean by that is Alex Hornibrook over at Florida State and Kyle Trask over at Florida both got a victory, and both seem to be doing pretty well. I know what you're going to say. Oh, Florida beat Tennessee. You can't brag on anybody who beats Tennessee, and I'm 100% with you on that. But considering the fact that Philip Hotdog was going to be their big-time quarterback, and he got injured, unfortunately, a pretty nasty injury. I think they didn't even play the replay because it was so bad with his ankle. But Kyle Trask has come in and hadn't played a lot of games, but came in and he's been doing pretty well. Same thing with Alex Hornibrook. Man, Alex Hornibrook went 75% completion percentage against Louisville. I actually picked Louisville, and they burned me on that one. He also had over 250 yards passing. So I read a couple of things from the Florida State side of things, and there's a lot of people and a lot of articles out there saying, hey, we're actually better off than when we had Blackman, and we're actually excited about the North Carolina State game. We're going to show up, which they really haven't showed up to any game. Have you seen the stadium?
Yeah.
haven't showed up to a lot of games. Those fans, not really been a pretty good time in Tallahassee, but they're excited about this NC State game, and so I'm not going to give you my pick, but the Florida State fan base, it feels like that they're going to be turning the corner a little bit and starting to win some more games, and they're actually excited about Alex Hornibrook, even though he hadn't played a lot in a while, and he was a transfer from, I believe, Wisconsin. So that's something interesting for me that I thought coming out of Week 4.
Yeah, sure, no doubt about it. Like you said, I was never a big believer in Felipe Franks, or as you like to call him with Qualk and Kelly, Philip Hot Dogs. But so I'm not super shocked that they're doing a little bit. I don't want to say better necessarily, but I mean they beat Tennessee, like you said, which is nothing to brag about too much. But same thing with Florida State. Obviously, Louisville's a terrible team, but Hornibrook had a good game, and I think anything that can provide Florida State fans with any kind of hope right now is a good thing. So, if you're a Florida State fan, that is. So, I definitely agree with that point. As far as number 4 is concerned. All right. Look, number 4 coming up. Michigan isn't very good. Okay. My suspicion from the beginning, and your suspicion as well, is that they were very overrated. Now, in fairness, I tend to believe they're overrated pretty much every year. But I think it was put on full display when they got just punked by Wisconsin this weekend. I think they ended up winning by 3 touchdowns, and it probably could have been worse than that. They lost by 3 touchdowns a couple of weeks ago. They took Army into overtime, I believe it was, and I was really pulling for Army there. I thought they were going to pull out the victory. I know we were cheering for them really hard, but Michigan is just not very good, and that's one of the things I learned from Week 4.
And man, I'm still burned over that Army game. We both kind of picked them to do the upset. I'm an Army veteran, so I was pulling for them. I felt like that Michigan was a pretender, way overrated, and they definitely are. Shea Patterson doesn't know what he's doing most downs. Seems like he's kind of lost. Sometimes he does good. Most of the time he does bad. They don't have a running game to rely on at all, and they can't stop the running game. And a lot of people said, oh, well, they couldn't stop Army's running game because it's the triple option, the wing T style. They couldn't stop that. They'll be able to stop the other running games. No. I mean, I said you couldn't stop Army. Who thought? There were a lot of experts that picked Michigan.
Yeah.
To stop Wisconsin with Jonathan Taylor, who's a Heisman Trophy candidate, and just running all over everybody. Well, man, he really beat them up bad. Wisconsin was amazing that game. I'll talk more about them later. But, I felt like they were disaster really against Army, and I felt like it was going to keep going. This is a really tough year for Jim Harbaugh. I believe he's on the hot seat, and a lot of people are calling for him to be fired now. And I feel like he's kind of a showboat type of coach anyways, so I've never really liked him myself. But yeah, Michigan, I agree with you. That's my number 4 as well. Michigan is a horrible team, and we told you. Number 3 for me is, I think, going to be a little bit controversial, but I'm not buying in on Auburn right now. They beat Texas A&M, but Texas A&M lost their number 1 running back, Corbin, when he played against Clemson. And they really don't have that good of a running game. They have a true freshman in Isaiah Spiller, not really, a very explosive or consistent running back for sure. Kellen Mond, hey, we know he's inaccurate and inconsistent himself. And Jimbo Fisher again. Alan, did you watch this game? Again, I know you were probably tailgating, but
I was out.
he waited. I mean, they're down multiple scores, and he's waiting until Jimbo Fisher is having them hike the ball with like 2 or 3 seconds left in the play clock. There's no sense of urgency for Texas A&M, and it just baffles me. You're down by that many scores, and you don't try to hurry it up against Clemson. And then you turn around and you play against Auburn and you don't try to hurry it up. You just, hey, we're down by 14. No big deal. We'll just keep waiting till the last second to do anything. It just drives me ridiculous, really nuts. I mean, I just can't believe it. But that's my number 3.
Number 3 for me is, we spoke about this a little bit just a second ago, is Tennessee is a train wreck. All right. They are every bit the dumpster fire they get credit for. Okay. They just can't do anything right over there. I don't even see how Jeremy Pruitt really survives much longer. And he hasn't even been there very long. I just think Tennessee has too much history, to kind of stay down for this long. We are in a world where it is instant gratification. All right. Fans want success and they want it now, especially at a school like Tennessee. You have 100,000 fans there and you have the support. You're in the mighty SEC. They love to talk about that. I just think, if he's not careful, he's not going to be around for too much longer.
Yeah, and I had high hopes for Jeremy Pruitt because he seems like a pretty good defensive coordinator, but he might be one of those coaches that are really good as a coordinator and just really bad as a head coach. We're kind of actually, on a sad note, seeing that from Chad Morris. He
Yeah.
doesn't seem to be doing very well as a head coach over at Arkansas, having some difficult games. Now people are starting, we talked to an expert back in, I believe, March from Arkansas Fight over at SB Nation, and he was saying, we're going to give him a little slack. We know he's still working things out, but now with the quarterback controversy and then with struggling against non-SEC teams and FCS team, it's not good for Arkansas for sure. I'd like to, I don't wish any bad luck on Chad Morris. I wish that he would do well. It's just going to be difficult over in the SEC West. We know now after 4 weeks that the SEC West is really the strong side of the conference. And the SEC East has really Georgia, I believe, maybe Missouri. I'm not buying Florida yet, but yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough in Arkansas because you're going to have to play LSU, you're going to have to play Texas A&M, you're going to have to play Alabama every single year. There's no, maybe not this year. So it'd be tough for any coach for sure. But I thought Chad Morris was going to do better. Same thing with, like you said, Jeremy Pruitt. Tennessee is one of those schools that you would think they could recruit and think that they would be consistent, but seems like they're just not very disciplined right now and struggling a lot. Walt Deptula just said, hey, just wipe the slate clean. Just go get rid of Fulmer because he is kind of like your root cause of everything, and then get rid of Pruitt, obviously, and then just kind of start over fresh with maybe a younger coach that maybe from, who knows, maybe from a Tony Elliott or something. I would hate to lose any of our coaches. I don't think that's going to happen, but I know that a lot of people are looking for Clemson coaches to come and walk away and become head coaches. So, and I know Dabo Swinney, we talked about this before. He anticipates it happening eventually. So we got to say goodbye to our great coordinators one day. But my number 2, Al, is something that we anticipated. It was September 21st, Missouri versus South Carolina. Kelly Bryant in 2017 at Clemson threw for 272 yards, 2 touchdowns, and beat the Gamecocks 34-10. He turned around in another Tiger uniform, a different Tiger team, and ran for 70 yards, threw for 227 yards on 2 touchdowns, and beat them again 34-14. So good job, Kelly Bryant, for taking out the Gamecocks on 2 different Tiger teams. I think that's got to go in one of the little Tim Beret tidbits, one of his little fun quizzes that he likes to do.
Yeah.
I was excited to see Kelly Bryant be successful and beat up on our rival.
Yeah, no, of course you always want to see that. I mean, happy for Kelly. I'm glad he had a good game against them. He looked pretty good. I only got to see a little bit of it. Obviously, I was leaving, like true fans, to go watch the game live in Clemson. So I didn't get to see all of it, but I saw some crazy plays in that game. It just looked like it was brutal on both sides. But I think Kelly came away with some pretty decent stats. Regardless, he got the W, and I'm good with it for sure. My number 2 that I have is the Central Florida talk for the season is done. Okay. Kelly Gramlich actually mentioned this on Qualk Show the other day. And I wanted to text in and tell her, hey, you're going to hear a very similar opinion here, on Wednesday night, because I agree, totally agree. Central Florida has built this reputation as a big time team, regardless of whether they didn't even make it in the playoff last year. They were undefeated. It's just they keep getting left out, and people are talking about that. It was last year, the year before they got left out. So they just keep winning. They keep beating big teams. They're getting huge wins, and still they're not getting the recognition they think they deserve, at least. But, they got beat by Pittsburgh, okay, who's a team who is not very well thought of. Obviously, they're in the lowly ACC. So to get stunned by Pittsburgh, I think it was the final 35-34, something like that. It was a 1-point victory, I think.
Yeah, 1 point.
That is it's a crazy upset. Nobody saw it coming. I think you can just kind of, put them to rest for this season, because if you lose to somebody like Pittsburgh, when you have everything going against them that you already have, I don't think there's any hope for hearing anything about them the rest of the season.
Yeah, and they started off really slow. Pittsburgh came out hot, And then at the end, they did the Pitt special or whatever they wanted to call it, where it was basically like the Super Bowl with the Eagles. But a lot of people want to talk about it. It was their old Chad Morris play where I believe it was like Taj Boyd or somebody to the end zone and so Clemson really kind of did it many years ago. But it's obviously one of those popular plays where you do the double reverse and then throw it to the quarterback in the end zone. And they ended up winning the game there. But really, they seem to have control. I felt like Pittsburgh, is a decent team in the ACC. It's hard to kind of pick out decent teams in the ACC. You have Clemson, of course, Virginia, but they got a big test coming up. And then you've got who else? I mean, you got North Carolina, maybe.
You're gonna count Notre Dame, maybe?
Can you count Notre Dame? We should. Maybe we should force them to be in football.
Yep.
And then Pittsburgh, really, I mean, Pittsburgh's kind of, they held Penn State into a good game. So, it's hard to say, but yeah, one of those things where we were kind of anticipating, oh man, here's another year where Central Florida is going to go up the rankings and not lose any games and then still be left out. We're going to hear about how they're the national champions and didn't play in the playoffs, but obviously, like you said, that's over with. Yeah. So for me, my number one is, and it's hard to say this because they played Michigan, but my number one thing I learned from week 4 is Wisconsin, to me, is the real deal. I mean, that Jonathan Taylor guy is a really good running back. They have a really good offensive line. Their defense looks pretty stout. Number 1 in the nation in scoring defense 4 weeks into it. Number 1 in third down defense. Number 1 in time of possession. Number 1 in pass efficiency defense. Number 2 in turnover margin. And number 2 in the nation in first downs allowed. I mean, that's a lot of big-time stats there for this team. It's got a great defense. They can run all over you. Heisman candidate running back there. I actually don't mind Wisconsin. I think they're a great team. I've always admired Wisconsin, and they're kind of like a team that I kind of pull for when Clemson's not playing, kind of thing. But I really feel like I'm always iffy about teams kind of up north. Being able to compete, with the times where Alabama's blown out teams from up north and LSU's blown out teams. So I'm kind of iffy to say I like them and I think they're a contender. But I really feel like I rewatched that game, even though it was Michigan and I beat them up just a few picks ago. I really feel like Wisconsin is a good team overall, and I'm excited to see what they can do the rest of the season.
Yeah, I would agree with you. It's funny, those defensive stats you were kind of throwing out there sound a lot like Clemson's from last year. They have a really good defense. The running back is crazy. Jonathan Taylor is incredible. There's a big case to be made that he may be the best in the country. Obviously, we have a little Travis Etienne bias over our way, but teams are selling out to stop Travis Etienne right now, and he hasn't got the yardage that he's used to these past couple games for sure. But I like Wisconsin. I think they're a possible playoff team. If they can keep it up, obviously they got some big games ahead of them. My number one is actually that anything goes, okay? Anything goes in college football. Southern Cal upsets, number 10 Utah. Pittsburgh upset Central Florida. UCLA came back against Washington State to beat them. And Southern Methodist beat TCU. I don't care who's playing. You can be beaten every week. A lot of people want to talk about Dabo Swinney and give him a hard time, when he talks up these teams who we think are garbage, in his press conference every Tuesday. They want to talk about, yeah, he's crazy. We're going to beat them by 100. Listen, there's a reason he does it, and it's because it's true, okay? He understands that we outclass all of these teams on paper, all right? But you can't go into any game thinking you are going to just out-talent and outplay them just because your name is Clemson and that's what's written on your jersey, okay? You have that paw on your helmet. It doesn't work that way. And Dabo knows it, and we are very blessed to have a coach that knows it with such parity in college football.
Yeah, I'm excited. I look forward to what comes from week 5, Clemson versus UNC. We'll be talking about that next. And we're going to give you our week 5 picks against the spread. You want to hang with us because, as I told you, Al's an expert in this. He's at 70% against the spread, and we'll let you, he's right now 80-34. He'll give you his picks against the spread. I'll give you my picks against the spread. I'm at a lowly 61%, 69-45. But when we get back, we'll talk about our picks against the spread. This is the Morgan Thomas Show. You can watch us on Facebook, YouTube, and listen to us over on The Roar. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back. It's the Morgan Thomas Show with my co-host Big Al. Open phone lines 864-772-MORG 6674. I just like saying Morg. I don't know. I'm weird. Forgive me. Open phone lines. We actually have a caller on the line now, and we'll get to you real quick, William. Just give us a second here. Got 25 people watching over on YouTube. We appreciate the love and support on YouTube. Hey, the best way to support us on YouTube is to subscribe to our channel. If you haven't watched us before, all things Clemson sports. We talk about it every week, a live show, 1-hour show. And we also have replays on Facebook and YouTube and The Roar as well. So give us a like and a subscribe to the channel. If you're over on Facebook, give us a like and a subscribe, or give us a like on our page and share our video with your friends over there. Al, I have 24 watching on YouTube. I appreciate the support. How many you got over there on Facebook?
I've got 12 over here on Facebook. I saw Mitch has been with us for a while. He's taken off. He said it's past his bedtime, so he's getting out of here. Nick is with us as well, so it's good to see Nick as always. We love you very much. So right now, I want to kind of get us started with our segment 3 sponsor. All right, it's Heating and Cooling Services, Inc. They are family-owned, operated, serving Anderson County and surrounding areas since 1980. Heating and Cooling Services, Inc. is your residential and commercial comfort expert. Anything from preventative maintenance of your home HVAC system to overhauling commercial chiller and everything in between. If you want to breathe easy and be nice and cool in your home or business this summer, give the Heating and Cooling Services, Inc. a call today. Ladies and gentlemen, that is 864-224-7655. Again, that number is 864-224-7655. Speak with Jason or Mark Trammell. They will take care of you. Like Morgan said, we only promote sponsors we use. I have used them. They save me a ton of money on my heating and cooling work. I have my AC go out. It seems to be like every year. I call Jason. He comes over here and fixes it. I haven't had a problem since, so we really appreciate that for sure. Morgan, man, you said we had a caller over there, so let's get to him.
Yeah, it's our Buffalo Wild Wings of Greenville, South Carolina. If you haven't been there, it's over on Woodruff Road in the shops at Green Ridge. Let them know when you go check it out and eat some wings over there. Let them know that Morgan and Alan sent you from the Morgan Thomas Show. They have a general manager there named Daryl. He's a great guy. Let them know that we sent you and enjoy some great food there this football season. But yeah, we've got William on the line. All right, so Al, we're going to try this. We haven't done very many calls. We're going to try this and see how it goes. William, let me see if I can pull you up. William, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Al, can you hear him?
I can barely hear him.
All right, well, I'm going to turn it up a little bit for you, Big Al. We'll go from there. All right, William. Hey, welcome to the Morgan Thomas Show. You're a caller tonight. What you got to talk about?
Well, thanks for having me on. I'm coming from Sarasota, Florida, so appreciate being able to listen to Clemson content from all the way down here. My question was, we got to see a cool moment on halftime on Saturday where the fake Disney Clemson Tigers ran down the hill and then ran some plays on the field. I was wondering how good they look to you and where you'd rank them in the ACC.
So, Al, if you didn't hear that, he's asking about the Disney Clemson Tiger team that was the fake Clemson team. How well did they do, in your opinion, or in our opinion, at halftime, and where would they rank in one of the top ACC teams? And we appreciate you, William, over there in Florida. That's what we try to do. We found out that people all over the country don't get the same Clemson content from like we do when we get to watch or listen to local radio stations here. So we felt there was a need, and so we appreciate that you joined us tonight. Al, you were there, so did you enjoy watching the Disney team, and how well did they do?
Yeah, I couldn't remember, if you said this or not. So I have to speak on this because you, again, were at your house and not at the game. So we want to talk about that. They did a decent job. Obviously, I think some people gave them a little bit of a hard time because they kind of walked down the hill more than ran down the hill, which seems to be kind of a more popular thing to do now anyway, so people don't get hurt. They ran some plays. It was really cool. I think they had to redo one play where they botched a snap or something like that. But, when you're comparing us to the rest of the ACC, I think I saw a meme or a tweet or something earlier this week about, how they're ranking ACC teams. It was 1 Clemson, 2 Clemson second string, Clemson third string, Clemson fourth string. Then the actors that played Clemson, was fifth. It was kind of a funny anecdote they brought out there, but it was an awesome experience. Okay. The fans were crazy. It was funny because, they matched the intensity that we have when they came and ran down the hill. The real team at the very beginning of the game, the crowd stayed. I thought there was no chance that they listened to the administration and stayed at halftime to kind of support this cause and do this scene for everybody. But everybody stayed. They even had a special message over the intercom where they told us to keep our phones in our pockets because those kind of cell phones weren't around back then. So it was kind of a cool thing. Everybody really cooperated very well. They were very loud, very passionate, into it. It was a really cool experience to be a part of for sure.
Yeah, I thought that thing about the cell phones was really interesting as well. My full-time job, I work for Verizon in the marketing department, and I remember the cell phones that were back then. It was like you basically had, I believe you had like a choice of the Razr or maybe like a Nokia. You didn't have any smartphones for sure, unless you just had a lot of money and maybe you had a BlackBerry, maybe back then, the BlackBerry Bold or Curve or something like that. I don't know if you guys remember that, but yeah, nothing like what we have nowadays with all the iPhones. So it'd be kind of a headache. I do a lot of video editing. It'd be a kind of a headache to have to edit out every single cell phone in the crowd. That would not be a fun job. So hopefully the fans paid attention to that. I know Kwok was talking about it earlier today. He was saying it was just really interesting because they had a stunt double for the player who played Ray Ray, or the actor who played Ray Ray. And so what would happen is, he played on defense. So what would happen is he would tackle somebody. Well, his stunt double would tackle someone, and then they would reset and they would swap him with the actor, right. And he would get on top of the guy, and then they would hit action, and then he would jump up and celebrate with the real actor inside the helmet. So it was kind of interesting. That's kind of like the movie magic. Yeah. I don't know if it's actually going to be in theaters. I think a lot of people are saying it's going to be on the Disney Plus program or the streaming service that they have, which I'm excited for. My daughter's already telling me, hey, you got to get on Disney Plus and get all the Disney movies for sure. Hey, William, did you have anything else for us before you go? We appreciate you joining the show tonight.
No, thanks for your comments, and I just thought it was a cool experience, and I hope that Clemson gets a lot of good publicity from it.
Yeah, I think they will. Appreciate it, William, and be sure to check us out every Wednesday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We do it for about an hour, but I talk too much, so it ends up being more than an hour. But we have our replays over on Facebook. If you're a Facebooker, we have our replays over on YouTube if you're strictly YouTube. And then we also have our replays over on The Roar, and we're going to be doing some more live stuff or more recorded stuff, podcast type stuff with The Roar. So we appreciate that partnership. A lot of people over on our YouTube saying, one guy, Ross, is saying he's over in Kansas City, and he's asking if anybody is further away than him. I don't know. If anybody is farther than that. I know I think we had somebody in California one time. Al, correct me if I'm wrong, but most of the time we hear Florida. We have Washington, D.C., I know before. But we appreciate all the Tiger fans all over the country. What you got over there on Facebook?
Right now we're rolling with about 13, and I was wondering, Gary gets in with a question. He says, how hard will it be to pick up a couple of tickets in Chapel Hill Saturday? I'm thinking of taking my 16-year-old daughter. What will be the typical price for a ticket at the game? So you happen to have any information on that? I think you could get a ticket relatively easy for this game, even though I understand, it's kind of their Super Bowl when they play Clemson. But at the same time, I don't know that they want to play Clemson. So they may be having a lot of free tickets out there. Maybe we can check StubHub while we're on here and kind of see what they're going for, but I'm not really sure the face value for these in particular. I would think you could get in, for, I don't know, $50 a ticket, maybe something like that.
Oh, you're making me get in on this here. I'm going to be Googling it for you. Who was that asked that?
I know it. Gary.
Gary. Okay, Gary. So I'm looking at right now with Vivid Seats, and that's the sponsor through ESPN's website, ESPN.com, is showing 115. So, when you got the number one team in the nation and you got that fresh vibe with Mac Brown around, I believe that's going to kind of spike the tickets up a little bit. So you're looking at as low as 115 for a single seat over there right now.
115. Wow. Okay. Wow. That's more than I thought it was going to be for sure. Now, you could probably get them for less over there, especially if you're not paying, the fees that you're paying with Vivid Seats or StubHub or something like that. If you go and wait till about game time, I would imagine you could get in for significantly less than that. I would hope so anyways.
Alan knows, and a lot of you guys know this too, but my ticket price is very standard. It's $50 a month YouTube TV. All right, that's my ticket price. It's very consistent. I know what's going to happen. I know how much it's going to cost. I don't have to worry about if it's going to be 200 or whatever. No, I'm just kidding. Hey, believe me, my dad and I were season ticket holders for many, many years until they outpriced me and my cheap pockets there. But yeah, I know the excitement about going to an away game. I went to an Auburn game when I went to the Auburn game when they won the national championship that year. And that was an amazing game. Those Auburn fans, man, when they didn't want to talk too much smack because they really weren't winning at all during the game, but you could tell they were just waiting on that one play. And then Deshaun hit Hunter Renfrow, and then they got an interception, and then it was like, all right, we're out of here. We can't talk any smack. Our team stinks. Deshaun's gonna win. Deshaun's too good. Even though it was a good game, and I think the bald eagle got kind of a little wild on that game, but yeah. So we appreciate the call, William. Appreciate the question. Let's jump over to our third segment of the night, Al, and that is our Week 5 picks against the spread. And like I said before, Alan, over on our Yahoo pick 'em against the spread challenge, 80-34. Let's just give him a golf clap, everyone.
Yeah.
Yes. 70% against the spread. If you haven't gone to Vegas, Al, with these numbers, hopefully somebody who's watching has. That's amazing. Marty Bruce, one of our good friends, says he's calling it bogus and it's not real. It is real. I can vouch for you. I cannot change. Just because I'm the commissioner doesn't mean I can change picks. Alan is definitely doing this. For me, 69-45. I got burnt on a couple of underdog picks, but I'm still at 61%, which really, Al, if you look at the other experts, I was looking around, man, there are a lot of guys who have been doing this. This is my first year ever doing this. I know you've been doing it for a while, but there are a lot of guys who are just straight up terrible against the spread, like 30, 20%. I'm like, I would never use them. And these guys write articles all day, every day about college football. What are they doing? We stick in our spread to, if you're not familiar, we stick to the ACC teams and the top 25 teams. And on the show, we talk about the ACC matchups and the top 25 versus top 25 matchups. So that's what we want to do. Al, are you ready to run through our picks against the spread?
I am. Can I get with you? So I got a guy in here saying, Al, actually, believe it or not, Al is getting in and saying, Morgan, if I send you 2 tickets to one of the Clemson home games, will you go?
Yes, but since I'm a veteran, I would appreciate they be the military game, because really all my shirts are purple because I love purple, and I would love to, let my daughter see the military, vehicles and stuff like that. But I'm not asking for any tickets. I can buy tickets. I promise. I just gotta, not go to McDonald's, once or twice a week and get rid of my Starbucks habit, and then maybe I can, put together a few dollars to go to the Clemson game. But I appreciate that. Of course, if you give me tickets, hey, I'm not going to turn them down. But thanks for that, Al. Let's get into our picks against the spread. Week 5 picks against the spread. Duke at Virginia is what we're going to start out. Looks like Duke at Virginia Tech, Virginia Tech -3 right now. What you got?
Right now, I keep betting on, nobody teams to cover against the spread against Virginia Tech. So when Duke's coming to town, I'm going to bet on them as well. It seems to be going pretty well for me, so I'm going to give it another shot. How the mighty have fallen. Virginia Tech used to be one of the premier programs in the country, and now they are on the struggle bus to the extreme. So I'm taking Duke +3.
I like that. I was just resetting my timer. I forgot about my timer, Al, but I like that. I'm going with Duke as well. I was kind of back and forth with this, but give me Duke with the points. Virginia Tech, I rewatched the Virginia Tech versus Furman game. Furman was up by 11 at halftime, and they were actually schooling them pretty well in that first half. Now, Virginia Tech obviously came back and won the game, but Virginia Tech, man, it just turns the ball over. I believe they're ranked last in turnovers. So they're going to turn the ball over. I think on average, they've been turning the ball over 4 or 5 times a game. That is just horrible. Yeah. And they turned the ball over a bunch against Furman as well. Duke, on the other hand, not only did they just come off a big win against Middle Tennessee, who's got a good offense, I thought was going to be a high-scoring game, but Duke beat them, then turned around. Now they got a bye week. So I believe that Duke's going to – or they had a bye week last week. They didn't play. So I believe that Duke's going to come out fresh and be ready to win, and give me Duke as well. We got a couple of off games. I'm guessing you're going to go with the favorite in the off games, Holy Cross at Syracuse. Obviously, I picked Syracuse, and Delaware at Pittsburgh. I picked Pittsburgh as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Syracuse covered last week, kind of getting off their seat a little bit, and covered the spread against Western Michigan. Actually, beat them by a whole lot. That kind of separated us. I know you picked Western Michigan there, so I was very proud of my Syracuse Orange there to kind of give me another extra game against you. I'm going to give them the nod in that game. Pittsburgh as well. You know, obviously I wouldn't have chosen Delaware anyways, but not after Pitt knocked off Central Florida. You know, it kind of really has me interested to see what Pittsburgh does the rest of the year.
Now, you just had to bring up me picking Western Michigan, all right?
I did.
Al, I wish you had a shorter memory like I do. You know, I don't remember all my mistakes, but I'm glad that you are here to help me remember all of my mistakes, okay?
Well, I'm here, brother.
So I did pick Western Michigan, but let me tell you something, Al. With 7 minutes to go, they were covering the spread. Now, in that 7 minutes, I think they got scored on like 3 times.
Yeah.
But that game had me sweating. It was really close with 7 minutes to go. And I thought I was going to pull it out and be able to text you and say, ha ha. Also, Louisville was holding it. And they lost it on me as well.
They did.
You know, my underdog picks, you know, they were a perfect pick if the game ended with 8 minutes left in the fourth. But they were a terrible pick if it actually played the entire game. Come to find out, Al, all the teams have to play an entire game.
I know, it's crazy how that works, isn't it?
So here is one. I need to skip this one because this is a ranked versus ranked, even though I have it as an ACC game. I'm going to skip it towards the end. We do ranked versus ranked at the end. But Georgia Tech at Temple. This is interesting because, you know, Jeff Collins used to coach at Temple. Now he's got to go to Temple coaching at Georgia Tech. What you got? Oh, wait a minute. Let me give you the spread. Temple -9. These spreads are as of Tuesday, by the way.
Yeah, I'm taking Temple minus the 9. I just absolutely have no faith in Georgia Tech. The new Georgia Tech that we're seeing is not a pretty one. Now, I understand it's his first year, new system, that kind of thing. Temple's already beaten, you know, a Maryland team who was kind of hyped up at one point at home, so I'll give me the Owls.
Okay, yeah, I'm taking Temple as well. Georgia Tech's just not really good this year. They're doing a lot of, restructuring on their offense. They really don't have an identity right now. I think Jeff Collins is definitely going down in his return to Philadelphia, so I'm going with Temple as well, even minus the 9. I think I cheated this week and looked at some of the computer picks, and the computers were picking Temple, so I'm picking Temple. Wake Forest at Boston College. This one's interesting because Boston College got beat up pretty bad against Kansas at home. Wake Forest has a really good offense with Jamie Newman under the helm there. Wake -7. Who you got on that one?
You know, for no particular reason, I'm picking Boston College plus the 7. Okay, you know, I don't think Boston College is a very good football team. You know, Wake seems to have a pretty strong offense after, you know, Boston College embarrassed themselves and the conference, you know, getting blown out by Kansas at home. You know, they rebounded with a road win over the Rutgers. So, you know, I'm taking BC in this one for no particular reason at all. Boston College plus 7.
Wow. All right. Well, considering your win percentage, I guess I should go with you on this, but I'm not. I'm going to go with Wake Forest. I think they have a better quarterback. You know, like I said, the last home game, Boston College, you know, got destroyed against a terrible Kansas team, in my opinion. I think Wake Forest is, you know, one of the better teams in the ACC. It's kind of scary to say that, but, you know, they made up for it. BC did just recently beat Rutgers, but it wasn't anything to call home about. So I'm going with Wake Forest there. Next game, this is one we kind of hinted on earlier. This is the last of the non-ranked ACC games that we have up here. Not many ACC games right now. I guess they're playing each other or they're taking a week off. Yeah. But NC State at Florida State. I mentioned to you that Florida State fans are excited about Alex Hornibrook. Florida State -6. What you got?
I'm taking the Noles -6. I took them last week, and they didn't disappoint me. Obviously, like you said, you know, they covered against Louisville. You know, they beat a bad Louisville team, but it is what it is. You know, any baby steps that they can take right now, like we mentioned earlier, is a positive sign. So, you know, I'm going to take them. I don't believe in the NC State team either. So give me the Noles to cover again this week.
All right. Well, I told you that Florida State was, you know, just hot garbage. They were a trash team. They switch out their quarterback and somehow find success. He passes for over 250 yards, has 75% completion rate. He looked really well. I mean, really good. I watched his replay. I watched the game live because, you know, that was a game that I was really hoping to win on. Cam Akers is still, he's a consistent running back. he gets in a lot of his yards. But the thing about Florida State is they score a lot in the first and second quarter and then die off after halftime. But with Alex Hornibrook, they seem to be doing better and were able to win the game and able to come up with some key stops towards the end as well. So I'm going to get off of my Florida State is trash train, and I'm actually going to go with them this time. They burned me, or I picked Louisville last time, and Louisville burned me. So I'm going to pick Florida State this time. I feel like I kind of see where the Florida State camp is coming from. They're excited. They've got a breath of fresh air in this quarterback. I don't understand why he wasn't playing before this. So I'm going to go with Florida State, even though it pains me to say that. And that's the end of our ACC picks that aren't ranked. And we're going to talk about our ranked versus ranked. Really, man, we were spoiled last week with ranked versus ranked. This week, less than exciting ranked versus ranked. Let us know your picks on all of these teams as we go through them as well. We'd love to give you a shout out when we get through this list here. But for ACC, Al, big game is for number 18, Virginia, at number 10, Notre Dame. Notre Dame is minus 12.5. What you got there? What are your thoughts?
Virginia has survived a couple of close games here recently, one with FSU where they probably even should have lost that game at home, and one to Old Dominion, who kept it close for a while, but they seem to find a way. I think there's some talent there. I like their quarterback, Bryce Perkins. But Notre Dame, I think, is going to suffer the hangover effect from the Georgia game and could be in for a close matchup with Virginia. So I'm going to take Virginia plus the 12.5.
Ooh, okay. Well, I've been back and forth on this one too. This is like the Florida State game for me. I cheated and looked at some of the computer picks, see what they had. Tried to look at some of the expert picks, but they're all garbage, so I don't trust them. I trust myself, and I trust stealing your pick over, doing an expert. That's why I have you go first, Al, so that I can change my opinion or my pick after you tell me, because you're 70% right now. But I actually on paper, I don't have Virginia. I really don't. They live and die by what Bryce Perkins can do.
Yep.
Can they contain Bryce Perkins? That's the question. I think that, I want to change my mind now. I believe that Notre Dame is going to return home and get a good win. Can they win by 12.5? That's the question. Let me know in the comments what you think. Give me some help here. What do you think? Can Notre Dame beat Virginia by 12.5, ranked versus ranked in the ACC? We got people saying pick Virginia. Anybody else out there? Al, you got anybody on Facebook giving you a pick?
Yeah, David and Al do a real good job of getting us their picks, pick by pick, but they're different on this. David says UVA, Al says Notre Dame. So, unfortunately, you're 50-50 here.
I can't call a friend at all on that one. Thank you. So I got 2 for UVA, 1 for Notre Dame. I'm going to go with Virginia. Give me Virginia plus the 12.5. I think that it's going to be a close game. I think that Notre Dame is going to win. I really do. I'm not trusting that they can win by 13 plus. So give me Virginia on that. We'll go with that. I'll give you a fan pick, call a friend, phone a friend, just like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and I'll do that for you. Hey, it's my show. I can do whatever I want, Al. Really, it's our show, but, whatever. All right. So
that's your world. I'm just living it.
I am the producer, Al. No, I don't know. It doesn't matter. But I appreciate this love and support, everybody, and giving my pick. If I win, if it's successful, then it's all because of me. If it's not successful, then it's all y'all's fault. So that's how things go. No, I'm just kidding. But ranked versus ranked, non-ACC team. This is number 21, University of Southern California, at number 17, Washington. Jacob Eason, the guy we've seen at Georgia. What you think?
Well, the real USC is kind of like Michigan for me, okay? They're preseason hype with nothing to back it up. They've been that way for quite a while now, ever since, Leinart and Bush left. They've just kind of never really gotten back to what everybody thought they were going to be. That's a proud program, a lot of history there, but they've just been pretty much garbage for quite a while now. So I'm going to lay the points and take the Huskies here.
All right, I like that. I'm going with Washington as well. I believe it's Washington -10. I don't think I said that earlier, but Washington -10. Jacob Eason is really killing it right now.
Mm-hmm.
87 for 119, 1,063 yards, 10 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, playing at home. USC is coming off a great win. Man, I did not pick USC. I felt like USC was going to beat Utah, number 10 Utah. They got really high up there in the Pac-12, but they ended up beating them. It was a home game, and USC has really just owned Utah. So I don't know what I was thinking. That's what I was telling you earlier. I need to start looking at prior games and history of games at a certain stadium, because Utah, if you watch that, Utah hasn't won in Southern Cal in a while. And so I should have picked Southern Cal that game. It beat me up. Did you pick Southern Cal?
No, I didn't. I picked Utah.
Was that like your one game you didn't win or you didn't get right last week?
It was a pretty good week. I got to tell you, though, I mean, like you said, 70 against the spread is insanely good. So I feel like I'm due for an incredibly humbling week here against Vegas, because nobody beats Vegas like that for long. That's for sure.
Well, I'm trying to do you like, because this is a competition, okay? I'm trying to do you like they did the kicker, like they do kickers where they say, oh, man, he hasn't missed one. He hasn't missed one in like 73 weeks, and then he goes and shanks one. So that's my thing against you. You haven't missed any picks, or you've been really great, but I'm just hoping to like talk you up so much that you shank one.
Yep.
And because I want to win the pool, right? But that's our week 5 picks against the spread. Let us know your picks in the comments over on YouTube, Facebook. Quick check in, and then we're going to finish up with our last topic of the night. We've got 22 strong over on Facebook, and Marty Bruce is asking your pick on the Mammoth SEC East meat grinder showdown between Kentucky and the Gamecocks. Al, Kentucky versus the Gamecock. I have to get Marty in on this. What you got, Al?
He's killing me here because I hate saying anything positive about South Carolina, and he knows that I hate saying anything positive about South Carolina. I really think this is the year that they kind of, get that win. They've been beaten 5 years in a row by Kentucky, a pathetic Kentucky team. Kentucky is a little more pathetic than they usually are this year. They've lost their quarterback, I think. So South Carolina at least has shown me something good this year. I think they played decently against Alabama there for a little while. So I think I'm going to take South Carolina, and I think it's they're +3.5 maybe or something like that, or they -3.5. So I'm going to have to take South Carolina to cover, and it just absolutely kills me.
Man, the team of just, positives out of a negative, right? Hey, we lost, but we scored a bunch of points.
Mm-hmm.
The team out there, maybe they'll lose and score a bunch of points again. I don't know. Who knows? That's what they seem to be good at. A lot of people tell me back on that question, got a lot of people saying, go pick Virginia, pick Virginia. Luke Godwin coming in saying Notre Dame's going to beat Virginia by 2 touchdowns. Trust me. So, and I got some people saying that Kentucky's going to win. And Luke Godwin saying the Coots will not disappoint. Gamecocks will not disappoint. They will lose, or the Gamecocks don't disappoint, AKA they will lose to Kentucky again.
I'm all for it. I would love nothing more than to be wrong on this one for sure.
Well, we appreciate the support over there on YouTube and on Facebook. Al, let's jump over to our final topic of the night. That's our Clemson versus UNC preview and prediction. It's going to be an exciting game. I'm excited for it. I think it'll be, exciting because this is one game where Dabo Swinney is excited about it because he's never coached against Mac Brown. And I believe UNC's got some positives. They're definitely a team that can stick around till the end of the game.
You think so, huh? I'm not so sure that I agree with you there. North Carolina coming off a loss to App State, and let's be real, it's a decent App State team. It's not, it's not like they're terrible or anything. I think they're licking their wounds a little bit after they started 2-0, and they've had a little rough go of it here lately. They failed to complete a big comeback against Wake Forest, on the road. Couldn't muster enough to beat App State like we talked about. So I don't think this is a real good week for them to try to get well, so to speak. Their offense has been doing okay behind Sam Howell. I actually like what I've seen from him so far. Their defenses, it's done a pretty good job. But again, they haven't faced a Clemson offense or a Clemson defense yet this year. So I think they're kind of in for a rude awakening. I think it's going to be a typical Dabo game. I think we're going to kind of get up early, play a ton of backups. Maybe get the Tar Heels a chance to sneak in a few garbage points near the end, but I don't think it's going to be enough to cover the spread. What about you?
Well, I say that they're going to stick around because it seems like the past couple of games they've been losing, and then basically have claimed that they've ran out of time. They're mounting their comeback. It's an interesting game because I watched, I believe, their game against App State, and I watched their game against South Carolina. It's Sam Howell's not a bad quarterback. He's having a good year so far. Dabo Sweeney said he recruited him. He's kind of there with Tyson Pumachan and was looking to go for him, but then he ended up going to UNC. He's 75 he has 75 completions on 117 attempts, over 1,000 yards passing, 9 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. So not a bad stat line there. Mm-hmm. He's definitely like one of those run pass option type guys, but if you watch it, he's in the shotgun, and he either gives the ball off to the running back or it's a pass play. It's rare that he ever runs the ball, and it kind of lulls the defense to sleep in a sense because he doesn't have bad rushing stats. He does have a couple of 15-yard rushes, and that's usually because later on in the game he's either consistently thrown the slant, consistently handed off, and then they're expecting that so much that he then runs it. And there were a couple of plays, especially against App State, where the entire defense pushed to one side because they just knew he was handing the ball off. And that was like the one time he didn't hand the ball off and he ran it. But I really don't feel like, even though he has a lot of rushing attempts, he's not really like a threat in the rushing game, especially against Clemson defense the way it is in that 3-3-5. I think Clemson's defense matches up really well against them. They have 2 really good running backs. Javonte Williams, Michael Carter. Michael Carter is dangerous in the return game. Looks really good. So I'm interested to see how Clemson will handle the 2 running backs being 2 decent running backs and the quarterback that constantly does the run pass option or the read option. And then on the defensive side of things, they have a guy named Miles Dorn that's kind of like an Isaiah Simmons. I say that because he seems to be all over the field for him. He's their leading tackler, but I don't say that in the sense that he's not a first-round draft pick by any means. He's still pretty rough around the edges. If you notice, he misses a lot of plays and over pursues in a lot of plays. So he's not as polished as Isaiah Simmons, but he's kind of like their type of player. I believe Dabo did recruit him as well. But I look for the Tar Heels to continue to fight till the end. I look for them to try to make a push towards the end. The only thing is, towards the end, you're probably playing against Clemson's second string or third string, just based on history so far this year, right? They've had a hard time stopping anybody. Check this out. With almost 400 yards allowed per game. And they're not playing Clemson's of the world. So right. I think this is going to be really dangerous for them because Clemson is such a unique team in the sense that they have a superstar running back and they have more than just one superstar wide receiver. And that's where Clemson really gets you. The question for me is, they're going to beat them. We know that. We're going to predict that. But can they beat them by more than 27, right? They got to beat them 27 or more. The spread right now is 26.5. I got to go with a hot hand, man. Other than Jimbo Fisher, Clemson would be 4-0 against the spread. So I'm going Clemson again. I think it's going to be a big game for Trevor Lawrence. If you look at what App State did, man, those slant passes were open all day. Those across the middle passes, open all day. One-on-one passes, Clemson's already good at those. So those are going to be open as well. I feel like Trevor Lawrence is going to get to play longer. Man, he left the game like the first quarter last week, I believe. So I hope to see number 16 on the field more than that. Yeah. I believe that Travis Etienne's going to do really well. They had a hard time stopping that App State rushing attack. And so I think this is a type of team defensively is not going to be able to match up against Clemson. And I think Clemson's defense is just so versatile that they will be able to adjust and play well against that North Carolina offense. So I am going with the hot hand. I am going with Clemson to cover the spread. Al, what did you say? Did you say Clemson's going to cover the spread?
Yeah, I do think they're going to cover the spread. Like you said, the slant passes, the short, quick stuff was open all day. Only problem with that is Clemson never seems to run any of that stuff, but they do run the one-on-one stuff a lot. I think they'll make some big plays. Hopefully, they can use the middle of the field a little bit if they feel they need to this week. Running game should have a good day. I'm taking Clemson minus the 27. Final score prediction: Clemson 55, North Carolina 17.
I like that. You get Alan's always good with the predictions there, with the score predictions. I try to stay away from that. I'm not that successful as Al. He's over here 70% against the spread. So hey, if you want to listen to somebody, listen to Al on these numbers, my guys. So over on YouTube, we got 21 people watching. Thank you so much for the support. Bo's saying 45-10 Tigers. Somebody, Duncan, asking Alan a question. Hey, Alan, think the Tigers will be 30-0? If not, where will they drop a game?
Well, it's funny you asked that question. I do believe they're going to be 30-0. And that's a bold prediction. I mean, I understand they're favored to beat everybody on their schedule, but the statistics and history says they're going to lose a game somewhere. But I don't see it. I certainly don't see anybody stopping them until after the ACC championship game. There's nobody when they're playing their A game or even really their B game that should be able to compete with them. And we know what happens when they get to the playoffs. The playbook is opened up. They're playing with a lot more intensity. I trust Brent Venables. And, of course, Dabo Swinney does a great job. So I really think that Scott and Elliott kind of open up the playbook, like I said, when it comes to playoffs. And it's really comes time to kind of show what we have. I think we're going 30-0, and it is going to be an even more awesome time to be a Tiger.
Yeah, I tend to believe we looked at this a couple of months ago about how long Clemson will be able to carry on their dominance, right? Mm-hmm. And with their recruiting that they have coming in, man, they just landed a couple of guys, really good guys for the 21 class, I believe. Yep. And we'll talk about them, I'm sure, in the next couple of weeks. But for me, there's not really anybody in the ACC. So I see them going through the regular season, and that's the key, is when Clemson gets into the ACC championship, that's what they call the championship phase. Mm-hmm. And that's when they really kind of start to turn on that playbook and really start to pick out, opportunities to exploit certain defenses. And the thing about Clemson's defense is I felt that Clemson's defense was going to take a step back, but they actually took a step forward and not only replaced 7 starters, but completely changed their defensive scheme into a 3-3-5, which I wasn't expecting. I don't think anybody was expecting the scheme to change.
No.
And so Brent Venables just showing how diverse he is, showing how much money he's worth. Really, we need to pay the guy a lot more. I know he's going to stay around. His son's playing, so I'm not worried about that. And I'm okay with that. But yeah, I can foresee Clemson going all the way to the national championship game. If you look at it, who do we have going up against them? We've got maybe Georgia, maybe Alabama, maybe Oklahoma's of the world. It's hard to say when you get down into the champion, when you get down to the playoffs, if they can win. Sometimes, like Dabo said, just because Clemson won by so many points against Alabama this year doesn't mean that they were that much better of a team.
Right.
Sometimes the ball just bounces a certain way. Sometimes things just happen. I believe that Tua Tagovailoa really just kind of gave up on the game. You can see he just started throwing the ball deep a lot and didn't really look around to open receivers. There were open receivers, believe me. There was a lot of times where he had guys open and just completely didn't even bother. Didn't even look their way. So I can see Alabama coming out and being stronger and being more ready, I guess, for Clemson. But the problem with Alabama now is they really don't have as strong of a running game. They against Carolina, they completely, or South Carolina, they completely abandoned the running game, and their passing game just dominated, which is kind of like Clemson. Their passing game's so good they don't really need a running game sometimes, and they can avoid that. So. It's still hard to say, but you got to go with. I got to trust what Dabo Swinney's put together. It's an exciting time to be a Clemson fan, that's for sure.
No doubt.
All right, guys. Well, hey, that is it for the night. You're over on YouTube, Facebook, anywhere that you're watching the Morgan Thomas Show with Big Al. We appreciate the love and support. Hey, if you're on YouTube, make sure you like the video. If you like the video, make sure you share the video with your friends on your social media accounts. We'd appreciate that. Make sure you subscribe over on our YouTube channel. We would appreciate that. Al, tell them what they can do over on Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook. I do want to answer a question from Denise earlier. She asked about, if we were thinking about doing another show during the week. Unfortunately, we are both very short on time. We have day jobs. I actually I moonlight as a youth minister as well. So we don't have a whole lot of extra time to spend. I don't think another show is in the works, anyways. Maybe Morgan can go solo. Maybe he's down for something like that. But I do appreciate the kind words. Like we talked about last week, we want a big part of the show to be fan engagement. I love all the questions. I got a ton of questions on Facebook tonight. I enjoyed interacting with you. I hope most of you got my replies. I'm trying to reply as the show is going live. But get in the comments, give us your thoughts, send us a question, or like Morgan tells you, call into the Buffalo Wild Wings hotline, and you can get with us there as well, and we can bring you on the air. So we really appreciate all the things, that y'all do for us and the way that you engage with us and want to talk to us and want to get our opinions. So give us a like, give us a share, give us a follow. Please do. Morgan's always putting stuff throughout the week, so he does a great job. And we look forward to seeing you next week.
Yeah, we appreciate it, Al. One last question. I got to get to that. I'd hate to leave somebody hanging.
I know.
What coach will we lose first? Will Clemson lose first? That's a tough one to say.
Yep.
What coach do we lose first? I think I'm going to have to think about this more. My first gut reaction is someone like a Tony Elliott or a Jeff Scott. The offensive side of things,
Yep.
they don't have a son playing right now. So I think that's one good thing to keep Brent Venables around is just let's keep redshirting Jake Venables.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, we got Tyler coming in too.
Let's redshirt Tyler Venables 6 times to make sure he gets as many years as possible as well. But I think that Brent Venables is one of those guys that likes to bloom where he's planted, like Dabo Swinney says to do.
Yep.
The great thing about Scott and Elliott is they were homegrown guys. So they love the Clemson experience. They were part of the Clemson experience. And so that kind of helps them stay when most coaches would just leave because they have no personal ties to the team or to the area. So I hope that none of them leave, but you got to think somebody's going to want to go be a head coach eventually. I think the first person that leaves is Dabo Swinney retiring at Alabama. No, I'm just kidding. Dabo Swinney's not going anywhere. That's for sure. But if I'm going to get, off the top of my head guess, I'm thinking one of the offensive coordinators. What you think?
Yeah, I'd pick Elliott as well. It's not that any of them couldn't leave at any time, and I can assure you they've been offered jobs before. I know Brent Venables has been offered jobs. There's no way he hasn't. It just doesn't go out publicly. I would say Elliott, it's turned into an offensive game. And coming from somewhere like Clemson, they love the pedigree he has there. I think Elliott would be the first to leave. It wouldn't surprise me if Jeff Scott were to go as well. But I'm hoping, if Elliott were to take off, that Jeff Scott would kind of be, named the main coordinator here and kind of stick around for a little while longer. And of course, as we've both spoken about, we want Brent Venables to stay around as long as possible. But my guess would be Coach Elliott.
Hey, that's it for the show. We hope you enjoyed watching and listening. Please check us out over on Facebook, The Morgan Thomas Show, YouTube as well, and The Roar website, theroar.radio. This is The Morgan Thomas Show with Big Al. It's our bedtime, y'all. We're out of here. We hope you have a great weekend. And as always, Tiger fans, we'll see you at the top of the hill.